Part 98. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 973. Zhang Ziyi took a look and saw that Yang He had disappeared, replaced by King Yangshen standing here. Yang He has already flown out. He must know who beat him, so he should be crawling and rolling away now. Why did I give birth to this thing? I'll go, King Yangshen couldn't help but cursed. He said to Lin Yi, don't worry, if this guy harasses you again, just follow me and I'll kill you. His legs were broken and he really went back further. Thank you, Patriarch, Lin Yi said gratefully. She was a little nervous just now, but now she felt very happy. With the Patriarch's intervention, Yang He would have to hide when he saw her in the future. She really couldn't figure out how she could pursue him so crazily before. She was really blind when she was young. Zhang Ziyi, you are here too, and I am about to find you, King Yangshen said. What's the clan leader's order? Zhang Ziyi asked. Get ready, Queen 5, I will take you to the tomb of the bright dragon, King Yangshen said. The Patriarch will take us there in person? We are here just to get the map from Sister Yi. Haha, the terrain of the dragon sacrifice god's domain is complicated. It's my first time to go there using a map. I only have 10 days left. I'm afraid you won't be able to get there in a month, and you might even be eaten by the mythical beasts in the mountains, King Yangshen laughed. So scary, Zhang Ziyi asked Lin Yi. Lin Yi nodded. It seems that I still think too simply. I'll pick you up again in 5 or 6 days. King Yangshen left. Zhang Ziyi and the others went back to prepare again, and 5 hours came in a blink of an eye. On this day, King Yangshen arrived directly, took the 3 of them, and flew directly into the sky, soaring into the clouds and mist. At that moment, what Zhang Ziyi saw was that King Yangshen directly in front of them transformed into a huge snow-white dragon, with its whole body shining brightly. The shining dragon scales were extremely dazzling, as well as the dragon horns, and dragon horns. The fangs, claws and tail are exactly the same as the dragon in the totem. King Yangshen directly transformed into a divine dragon, allowing Zhang Ziyi and the others to sit on his body and shuttle directly between the ground with terrifying speed. Clan leader, is your transformation into a totem beast? Zhang Ziyi asked. He once heard that when you become a god, you can transform into a giant totem beast. This is a legend from the origin continent. This is how they judged Zhongyunding and Mrs. Ruohua to become gods. It's a totem beast, of course also called the totem deity. I have become a god king. The totem can be divided into billions, and can also be transformed into a totem behemoth. That is, the totem deity can fight with people, and can fly to the ground, like true dragon. The body of the totem is my strongest fighting state, said the huge dragon beneath him. Can we transform into the totem deity? Zhang Ziyi asked curiously. When you first reach the realm of the ancient gods, not many people can change. Only those with the most outstanding talents can do it. However, it is only a slight change. It cannot last for a long time and has no effect on the battle. Only when you reach the realm of the God King can you basically change your totem. Although the giant beast does not last long and is difficult to fight, it will be faster and better to practice with the totem deity during daily practice, King Yangshen explained patiently. He knew that they came from the god's domain and didn't know much about the God King. The dragon God King was elusive, so there certainly wouldn't be many of them. I see. In the ancient god realm, there are not many people who can change the totem deity, and even if there are, it will have no effect. In the realm of the Divine Lord, one can basically change, which is not helpful in fighting, but it can be practiced. Only by becoming a god king can one turn into a true totem beast, rising and falling like a real dragon. The so-called totem giant sword is actually the name of the ancient beast totem god. If it is a sword, it can be transformed into a sword, which is called a totem giant sword. The totem giant sword is also a kind of totem deity. In fact, the cultivation of the ancient gods is the process of moving from god to real totem. In the end, we will become the totem itself. For example, our supreme dragon clan is just to transform into a real dragon. You may ask, there are some divine beasts in the divine domain as well. There are some totems in the shape of dragons. There are such mythical beasts in the world. So don't we want to cultivate into mythical beasts? In fact, the mythical beasts are completely different from the totem beasts. First, the totem beasts have wisdom and can cultivate. The understanding of the endless avenue is complete, but the divine beasts have no intelligence and can only use totem magical powers to fight mechanically. The upper limit is very low. Secondly, the totem beast is the top bloodline, and the dragons among the divine beasts are all. The lowest bloodline, such as your infinite time and space sacred dragon, has no such beast in the world. He learned a lot, and for Zhang Zizai, this simply opened up a whole new path of cultivation. Our God King is not actually a true totem. Only when we reach the realm of the God Lord that is immortal and exists forever, can we become a real totem. Only then can we become a true totem. Only a totem can be immortal. Our light dragon lord is the totem of true existence. This is the real God in Zhang Zizai's heart. It turns out that God has always been God, but when he first became God, it only became the foundation. The road ahead is the road to truly become God, become a totem, and be eternal. The God King can already divide the totem and pass it on to all living beings, so there is no need for the ultimate God. Actually, you can give it a try and see if you can transform into a totem beast. Generally, you have to have a very top level of talent to have this possibility, such as by Mu. I think you may not have tried it. Maybe there is a little hope. King Yongshen said with a smile. How to try? Zhang Zizai was really excited when he thought that he could transform into a dragon. Because if it is possible, then Ming will be able to practice with the body of a dragon in the future. Communicate with your natal totem and express your wish to merge with it. Imagine more like this, imagine that you are the totem itself, imagine that you are a dragon, and you want to fly in the clouds, said the god King Yang. As for the two of you, one imagines that he is a panda, and the other imagines that he is a sword that penetrates the ground. The fighting holy demon panda totem, and the Dao judgment sword soul totem? Zhang Zizai was very interested. He followed the method of the god King Yang and immersed his mind in the natal sea. He saw the black color infinite time and space holy dragon totem again. The former black dragon has now grown to such a degree, and looks very majestic and powerful. Although it can't be compared with the totem beast of the god King Yang, it is enough to make Zhang Zizai excited. I am a dragon. Merge into one, you are me, and I am you. He always felt that the totem is the totem, a magical existence. But now think about it from another perspective, what if this totem is yourself? Please bookmark this site to read the latest. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 974. Transformed into a totem, into a dragon? Zhang Zizai had never dared to think about it before. Now that he heard that the God King could transform into a totem dragon to fight, this actually opened up a new world for him. The cultivation of God is the process of changing from God to totem. From human to real dragon. This seemed too incredible. A brand new world was opened up just like that. He looked at the God King Yang who had transformed into a real dragon. He couldn't imagine what he would look like after he became a real dragon. What kind of feeling would that be? He knew that it was different from Lu Dingxing's transformation. Lu Dingxing's transformation was not considered a transformation into a totem beast. He could only be regarded as a transformation, a physical enhancement, and most of it was still in human form. A real totem beast is the totem in the natal sea, such as Zhang Zizai's current infinite space-time holy dragon. After opening up a brand new world, his focus is now on this natal totem. As his spirit settled down, he suddenly realized that there was no one who could defeat me in the Sea of Destiny. Whenever he appeared in the Sea of Destiny, he would look at this natal totem, but where was the real me? He looked down and saw nothingness. It was not until today that he realized this problem. There was no one who could defeat me in the Sea of Destiny. Perhaps, the real me is this natal totem. He had always believed that the totem was given to him by God, but he did not expect that this was actually himself. The evolution of the totem is the evolution of himself. After knowing that there was no me, this me would approach the natal totem. The change in consciousness made his vision approach the natal totem, and he felt as if he was about to touch it. Until the next moment, he seemed to hit the natal totem. At that moment, he finally felt the me, was the natal totem, was this infinite time and space holy dragon. He seemed to control his body and opened his eyes. In the first moment, he saw the natal sea from another angle. He had never seen this angle before, because in the natal sea, the vision was always focused on the natal totem. And now, there was no infinite space-time holy dragon in his vision. He himself was the infinite space-time holy dragon. At this time, he saw his nose, the black dragon scales, and the dragon whiskers in front of him. When he lowered his head, he saw his body, the dragon claws, the dragon tail, and the slender body of the dragon. His control over his body changed into another logic, which made him completely unable to use it. The body of the body and the body of the dragon were completely different control methods. The hands corresponded to the front claws, and the legs corresponded to the back claws, but the human body did not have a tail, so he felt that the tail did not exist. And the next moment, his consciousness left the natal sea and returned to the outside world. He was now on the back of King Yang. When he opened his eyes, he found a huge dragon head in front of him, and there were two people, Lu Dingxing and Xuanhuan, who looked at him in shock. Zhang Zizai has realized the real changes in his body. This is not the feeling of being lost in the sea of life, but a real feeling. He is now a totem beast. When he lowered his head, he could see his dragon claws, his black dragon scales, and the power of time and space flowing on the dragon scales. He twisted his dragon head strangely to look around. What he saw now was exactly the feeling of gazing at his totem in the sea of life. He controlled completely different flesh and blood, so he was confused for a while. "Boss, it's great." Lu Dingxing was shocked and gave him a thumbs up. "They must have been working hard, but not so fast. Your understanding is really good. It's worthy of being a divine physique." Even the Yang God King Zhang Zizai was about to speak, and found that he was actually roaring, because his body was completely different, and he couldn't even pronounce it for a while. A brand new body requires a long time of familiarity before it can be switched freely, Yang God King said. Zhang Zizai looked at his new body with surprise. After becoming a dragon, the world in front of him was different. He could actually feel that he was stronger with his current body. Even the source of destruction felt more majestic. The 9 extreme divine body and 1 divine soul were stronger. But unfortunately, maintaining this state consumed a lot of energy. After a while, he felt extremely tired. When he was tired, he saw his body shrinking and finally returned to human form. Only then did he feel a little more comfortable. It's all like this. It's great that you can last so long for the first change. This is actually the reason why the ancient gods and the realm of the gods can't maintain the state of the totem beast for a long time, because the divine body and the divine soul can't support it at all. You must reach the realm of the God King to be free and independent, but we are not complete either. Only the real gods can be transformed into totem beasts forever, the King of the Gods said. Zhang Zizai shook his head and then he felt refreshed. Awesome. He was a little dazed, but he was still shocked in his heart. So far, it's been endless aftertaste. Boss, what experience can you pass on? Xuanhuan asked curiously. Don't ask him, feel it yourself, otherwise it will only make you more confused, Yang Shenhuang said. I understand, Xuanhuan nodded. They continued to immerse themselves in it and began to think about how to be the same as Zhang Zizai. You should think about it more, Yang Shenhuang suggested. Zhang Zizai was actually savoring it. He returned to the sea of birth and looked at the natal totem again. He was not in a hurry to integrate into the natal totem, but looked at it calmly and thought about the overlap between I and the natal totem. Time passed, it seemed like a long time had passed, and it seemed like a short time had passed. Suddenly, there was a very sharp feeling outside. Zhang Zizai opened his eyes and found that there was a huge sword lying in front of him. It was a sharp giant sword. The light on it made it impossible to look directly at it. It was like a judge, high above, and could sentence all living beings to death. It was clearly a sword, but it was like a judge standing on it. Is this Xuanhuan's totem body? It should be called the totem giant sword, Zhang Zizai said. Lu Dingxing hadn't succeeded yet. He had already been awakened. Just after he opened his eyes and saw the totem giant sword, within 2 breaths, the totem giant sword turned into Xuanhuan again. He was also pale and a little tired. He said, "This feeling is really tiring, and it's hard to understand. I turned from a living thing into a sword." You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 975. His logic should be more complicated. After all, Ran Long was at least alive, but he became a sword. Lu Dingxing hadn't succeeded yet, so he continued to try. Your talents are really good. In such a short time, you can transform into a totem body. It is considered the top one in the god realm, King Yang praised. For them, the dragon sacrifice god realm is the real god realm. He continued to move forward. Only Lu Dingxing hadn't succeeded yet, but he was still calm and continued to infiltrate the research. He had too many ancient demon inheritances, which might be a little confusing at the beginning, but he succeeded the second time after Xuanhuan succeeded. Compared with his Duzan Saint demon transformation, after he transformed into a totem beast, it was equivalent to changing directly from a half-human beast to a pure beast. The panda characteristics on his body were more obvious, and the most obvious feature of the totem beast was that it was huge. His totem beast was particularly huge, much larger than his transformation. Lingdang can transform into a dragon as soon as she is born. When I was in the origin continent, I thought that the offspring of God could be like this, but it turns out that it is not the case. It seems that Lingdang is still special. When she transforms into a dragon, she is much more stable than me, and she can transform freely. Is she a god king? In fact, it is impossible. Now Lingdang is more than 1 year old. She has cultivated to the god seal realm. Except for the transformation into a dragon, there is no difference between her and the ordinary god seal realm. When she transforms into a dragon, although it is the feeling of the real totem beast is not bad. Lingdang has not yet shown her ability to transform into a dragon in front of the real god king, otherwise it will definitely cause some sensation. After experiencing the feeling of the totem beast, they all seem to have opened up a new world, and they will experience it every once in a while. Although Lu Dingxing is the slowest, he is the most skilled in operation. After transforming into a totem beast, he can basically move freely, because his previous transformation is very similar. But soon, they arrived at their destination in the clouds. I won't go down. You hold the light order and go in when the dragon tomb is opened after sending it, King Yang said. Thank you, Chief. He not only sent people away, but also guided the way to transform into a totem beast. He really needs to be grateful. You're welcome. When you become successful in the future, remember to repay me. Yang Shenhuang smiled. Sure, sure, Zhang Zizai said hurriedly. This guy is quite down to earth. No wonder he can become a friend of Dragon Shenhuang. After that, he flew away directly. Zhang Zizai and the three of them fell directly to the ground. Fortunately, they could better control the power of the ground at this time and achieve the ability to fly in a balanced manner in the air. They landed steadily. The place where they fell was not yet at the Bright Dragon Tomb. They were in an ancient forest. In front of them were two mountains like giant monuments. They needed to cross these two mountains to reach the Bright Dragon Tomb. They went straight forward and went to the north. After passing through the gap between the two mountains, the view in front of them suddenly became clear and they could see the Bright Dragon Tomb directly. Strangely, the entire Bright Dragon Tomb did not look as big as Zhang Zizai had imagined. It was probably as big as a city. It was a huge square pillar with a dragon coiled on it. The overall style was like the imperial seal of the Yanlong dynasty. The upper part was a dragon, and the lower part was a large cube seal. Zhang Zizai's eyes naturally fell on the coiled dragon. This was a huge dragon statue like a city. It was snow white, with 9 pairs of wings on its back. The wings were spread out, and the dragon head was facing Zhang Zizai. When they saw it for the first time, Zhang Zizai and the others felt stunned, as if it was a huge real dragon. It was a feeling of a mortal being stared at by a god. It took them a while to stabilize their minds, but they didn't dare to look at the giant dragon statue. They looked forward and saw that many people had gathered in front of the Bright Dragon Tomb. They were basically under 40 years old and holding the Bright Order. They couldn't enter without the Bright Order, so no one wasted their time here. Many of them knew each other, so they gathered in groups of 3 or 5, chatting enthusiastically, and everyone looked very relaxed. Zhang Zizai and his friends were outsiders, and they also brought 2 dragon servants, so they just watched from a distance and waited for the dragon tomb to open before entering. During this process, he had time to look at the coiled dragon. It was like a real dragon. Zhang Zizai had never seen such a noble and holy dragon, but he didn't know what kind of dragon it was. It seemed that he heard other people discussing it and called it, Bright Dragon Ancestor. It means that the ancestor of the Bright Dragon clan, the one at the source. Since he is the ancestor, how did he come from? Born from the earth. How did life originate? This question is too profound and he couldn't figure it out at all, so he didn't think much about it, but admired the glory of this Bright Dragon ancestor. It was really more odd the more he looked at it. It was just a statue, and it was even more powerful than the Yang God King. Then more and more people gathered, and soon the front of the Bright Dragon Tomb was full. Zhang Zizai found 2 problems. First, their realm of the second level of the ancient god realm is about the lowest here. Except for some children aged 12 or 13, their realms are basically higher than theirs. The first criterion for coming here is talent, otherwise, there will be more strong people under the age of 40. According to the proportion, with 20 years old as the dividing line, there are half of those below and half below. Over 20 years old, around 30 years old, generally have a higher realm, at least higher than Xuanhuan's 31-year-old realm of the 4th level. The second problem is that half of these people are from Guangming Dragon City, and half of the remaining half are from the top tribes, such as the Yang tribe, which basically has only 1 or 2 people. This is the distribution of talents of the Guangming Dragon clan, which is actually equivalent to the distribution of strong people. Strong tribes have more than 10 god kings, and some god kings can crush more than a dozen. The densely packed crowd here, all talents are at least above Xiao Changjiu and Xiao Yunyu, most of them are around 25 years old, and they are already at the 4th level of the ancient god realm. Of course, there are also Bai Mu, who is just 20 years old, or less than 20 years old, and is already above the 6th level of the ancient god realm. This kind of people basically come from Guangming Dragon City and large tribes. Bai Mu also came. After all, he is a man of the hour. When he arrived, he still attracted a lot of attention. After all, half of the people here were selected by him personally, and only the quota in Guangming Dragon City was not selected by him. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 976. He is a participant, and letting him choose other participants shows that the bright dragon will value him. Basically, when he comes, he will be surrounded by a group of people. According to reports, although Bai Mu is only 20 years old, there are so many people present, including many who are close to 40 years old, and there are not many who are his opponents. There are actually only a few divine kings in their 30s, and some of them may not be his opponents. How could it be possible that the bright dragon lord personally edit? Bai Mu's qualifications are among the top ones in the entire Holy Dragon clan. In the Dragon Tomb, those with the most outstanding talents have always gained the most. Bai Mu will definitely have incredible gains this time. Others obviously cannot compare. That's for sure. People Bai Mu personally selected, and he would definitely get rid of the talents who threatened him from the major tribes, but he did not do this. As long as they were slightly famous, he was actually selected. He performed the task, and indeed very fair, I passed his test. That's true. After all, everyone is watching, and he doesn't dare to mess around. After he arrived, there were so many discussions about him that Zhang Zizai didn't want to hear it. People around him kept talking. When the people here were very dense and there were people everywhere, the bright dragon tomb finally opened. When the time came, everyone looked up, and then Zhang Zizai saw with his own eyes that the statue of the long ancestor of light actually opened its mouth. For a moment, the throat could be seen inside the dragon's mouth. This open dragon's mouth is the entrance to the bright dragon tomb. Now that the dragon tomb has been opened, it is equivalent to the ancestors calling them. The opening time will not be too long, and there are so many people, everyone will naturally rush to get there quickly. Walk. The noble beings from Guangming Dragon City were the first to go in, and basically no one dared to compete. Zhang Zizai wasn't in a hurry, there was enough time anyway. He watched countless people filing in, as if being eaten by the bright dragon tomb. About half an hour, in fact, it was almost there. The three of them did not move until the last few. Holding the light order, they rushed into the dragon's mouth and stepped into the throat of the dragon. To be honest, this process is a bit scary. If they were completely unaware, Zhang Zizai and the others would not have entered. The moment they stepped in, they were submerged in the light, their whole bodies fell down, and they were completely unable to control their bodies. It seems like a world of light. It was not until the end that they realized that they were stepping on Lin's surface. At this time, they got used to it a little. Zhang Zizai took a closer look and found that there were fools everywhere on the ground, but the sand was all shining brightly like diamonds. It would be fine if there were just a few, but if every particle shines so brightly, the result will be that the whole world is so bright. And it's not just sand. As they move forward, there are land, rivers, lakes, and trees in front of them. They find that no matter what this world is, it is shining brightly. The rivers shine, and the trees also shine brightly. So the whole world becomes, the meeting is full of light. Fortunately, as time passed, they gradually adapted and were able to barely see their surroundings. In fact, the world was no different from the outside. There were mountains, rivers, and trees everywhere, not the graveyards they imagined. The only difference was that here everything is radiant. Zhang Zizai picked up some sand and put it in the palm of his hand. Sure enough, even if it was crushed, the inside was still glowing. He picked off a leaf and tore it into pieces. As a result, every piece also had light. This is the world of light. Incredible. Xuanhuan said with emotion. Yes. The bright dragon tomb was full of surprises for their arrival. Where are the dragon tombs? There aren't any. According to their estimation, if the dragon tomb is as big as it looks from the outside, judging from the history of the Guangming dragon clan, there must be graveyards everywhere. But in fact, this is not the case. They walked far ahead and found that except for two places, they were filled with radiant light. There are no dragon tombs outside the trees, soil, and rivers. And the key is that no one else has encountered it. They were close to each other when they landed, otherwise they might fly around and it would be difficult to get together. It turns out that this place is much bigger than we imagined, Zhang Zizai said. Fortunately, I actually stay here for a long time, and I won't leave until a year later, so I can actually walk around slowly without being in a hurry. After becoming a god, due to the extension of lifespan, it is said that time will pass very quickly. Year after year is just the same as the previous month. Even the more lifespan increases, the more obvious this feeling will be. How big is this land? They walked continuously for half a month, but met no one and saw no cemetery. Not long after, they saw a brighter light in front of them. When they went forward, they found that it was just a pool about 3 feet in diameter. The light of this pool shines brighter than a huge lake. The water in it is sparkling and emits a dazzling light, which is still impossible to look directly at. And it feels like this pool is very special. The three of them were surrounded by the pool. They felt refreshed and had an unforgettable feeling of comfort all over their bodies. What kind of water is this? Is it so special? Zhang Zizai squatted down, picked up a stone and threw it down. The stone actually floated on the water and could not sink at all. Both of them shook their heads. They had just come to the sacrifice dragon god realm, and they came from the Totem world, so they had little experience themselves. So Zhang Zizai tried it. He was quite brave and put his hand in directly. As soon as he put it in, he found that the water was drilling into his body. His fingers felt very comfortable. In this comfortable process, he keenly felt that his body had a feeling of being strengthened. The water dripping into the body could make the divine body more solid and strengthen the divine body in the moisturizing process. It's a good thing. Zhang Zizai's eyes lit up. He tested it for about a quarter of an hour. There were almost no side effects for the time being. His fingers were getting stronger in the moisturizing process. Lu Dingxing and Xuanhuan also put their fingers in. Indeed, the divine body is getting stronger. Good stuff, Lu Dingxing's eyes lit up. He cultivated the divine body, so he felt more keen. I'll get down first. Zhang Zizai was the bravest and jumped in directly. This pool was also strange. Not a drop of water was splashed out and wasted. When Zhang Zizai was completely immersed in it, the feeling of comfort was even more unnecessary. Even every hair was getting stronger in the moisturizing process. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 977. This is a kind of liquid that nourishes and strengthens the divine body. Even if the divine body is not cultivated, it can make the foundation of the divine body continue to become stronger. If there is cultivation, it is estimated that it can directly lead to the improvement of the divine body. Come down. Zhang Zizai floated up from the bottom of the water. There are not many, you can do it by yourself, Xuanhuan said. Don't talk nonsense, come down. Zhang Zizai smiled. He was still being modest to himself at this time. In such a place, of course, the best way is to get the benefits as soon as possible. Okay, Xuanhuan didn't waste any words and jumped down directly. The diameter here is 3 feet. After he went down, there was still a lot of space. Panda. Just as Zhang Zizai finished, a behemoth came in. After he came in, it became very crowded. Zhang Zizai had a headache. Now when he dived into the water, the three of them stared at each other. It was still very embarrassing for three big men to lean on each other like this. Don't have any improper thoughts about me. I am only interested in women. I can't give you happiness, Zhang Zizai smiled. The two of them could only shake their heads, not bothering to pay attention to Zhang Zizai's narcissistic thoughts. In fact, Zhang Zizai also wanted to liven up the atmosphere, otherwise it would be so awkward for three people to squeeze into such a space together. However, after all the bodies came in, they were moisturized almost all the time, and this feeling was very comfortable. He could feel that his divine body was constantly strengthening, and this strengthening could also enhance combat effectiveness. So although the scene was awkward for a while, in order to be strong, the three of them held back. After all, they were all famous men. It felt like a lot of liquid had been integrated into their divine bodies, but the water in the pool did not decrease. Zhang Zizai estimated that there would be so much water in the end, but by then, the water would be just ordinary water, and the essence in it would all enter their bodies. It was just that they didn't expect that the three of them had just come in for about a quarter of an hour when they heard a sound outside. It should be someone approaching. The light here was shining, and that person would definitely find this pool, so they could only float to the surface. As soon as she came out of the water, she saw a woman standing by the pool. She was wearing white clothes and was about 20 years old. She had a beautiful face and a very attractive figure. She was a peach-like woman, a bit like Xuanhuan, mature and charming, but her expression was cold, a bit like an iceberg, and kept people away. Three young men suddenly appeared in the pool she was concerned about. There was only coldness in her eyes. She said, "You three, hurry up and get out of the Light Dragon Spring." She didn't know that Zhang Zizai didn't know that this was the Light Dragon Spring. "Beautiful sister, what is the use of this Light Dragon Spring?" Zhang Zizai asked, and his attitude was still very good. "Are you so ignorant? The Light Dragon Spring is said to be the blood fluid of the scattered gods, which will randomly appear in various places in the dragon tomb and can greatly strengthen the divine body. You don't know it and still go down." The woman stared at them. After that, she saw that Zhang Zizai was only nodding but not responding, so she angrily said, "Come up quickly, don't defile the spring water, I want this dragon spring of light, you hurry up, otherwise I will kick you out." "Everyone squeeze in." Zhang Zizai pushed the two of them to the side, so that there was a space on his side. Zhang Zizai pointed to the space and said, "Sister, you can just come down directly. There is another place. Don't worry, I will never let these two guys take advantage of you. This sister has such a good figure and is wearing a tight dress. If she comes down together, the atmosphere will be charming, enough to make people imagine." In fact, Zhang Zizai knew that she would never agree, so he was just joking. "Because this woman just wants them to get out. Come down quickly. We promise not to touch you." Zhang Zizai smiled sincerely. "You're going to get out of here? I'll give you 3 breaths of time. If you don't come out, I'll chase you away myself." She didn't want to do it directly, but she was afraid that the dragon spring of light would splash and cause waste. "Sister, don't do this. If there are good things, everyone should share them. What's the point of keeping them all to yourself? It's better to share them with others than to share them alone." Before she finished speaking, the woman had already started. She was not polite at all and didn't give Zhang Zizai the opportunity to share them with others, even though Zhang Zizai didn't mind her coming down. At this juncture, the three of them had to come out first, because if they didn't get rid of this woman, it would be impossible for them to take a bath here peacefully. "Where are you from, sister?" Before dealing with her, Zhang Zizai asked carefully. After all, he had no background here, so he had to consider the other party's background. "Qin tribe, my name is Guyeokan. Also, don't call me sister, I'm only 25 years old," she said with a little anger. "That's much older than us," Zhang Zizai said. "Shut up." Guyeokan said these 2 words and started to act. She knew that the dragon spring of light would attract other people. Now, while few people knew about it, it was the best strategy to quickly get rid of the three of them. In front of the dragon spring of light, every second counts. In an instant, she directly displayed her totem power. Her body shone with light, and then a clone was separated. The clone gradually solidified and eventually became a woman who was almost exactly like her, but the light on her body was stronger. This was obviously a clone created by a totem ability. The terrifying thing was that this clone could actually control weapons. A long sword appeared in its hand. It was definitely a god-level totem weapon, called the Light-Splitting Sword. Guyeokin's clone is called Light Body. A clone is comparable to a true god. Although she is at the 5th level of the ancient god realm, sometimes she can fight two opponents of the same level as herself. This chapter is not over yet, please click on the next page to continue reading. While the light body held the light-splitting sword, Guyeokin's hand showed the divine totem weapon Purple Lightning Harp. Purple thunder was flowing on the purple lightning harp. As she plucked the strings, purple thunder covered the ground in an instant. "If you don't get out, all three of you will end up badly," she warned at last. In response to them, Zhang Ziyi took action without the three of them discussing it. In an instant, the three of them attacked directly as if they had cooperated countless times. Now the three of them are at the 2nd level of the ancient god realm. None of them is Guyeokin's opponent, but if the three of them work together, there may be a little possibility. The three of them suddenly attacked from three directions. Guyeokin has a radiant divine body, which is actually equivalent to 3 against 2. She has the strength to crush the opponent in terms of realm. She can feel the approximate degree of the ancient divine power of the other three people, so she can only sneer at their resistance. However, when Zhang Ziyi attacked with the Ghost Dance Demon Sword and the Infinite Time-Breaking Blade, plus the 100 Ghosts Night Parade Formation and the Phantom Demon Soul Calming Sword Manual in the first moment, his powerful and violent soul directly caused a huge impact on Guyeokin. The Phantom Demon Soul Calming Sword Manual combined with the 100 Ghosts Night Parade Formation directly attacked the soul. As long as she was slightly hit, the Infinite Time-Breaking Blade could hit her. Once hit, she would immediately accept the terrifying attack of Lu Dingxing and Xuanhuan. The two of them are actually monster level now. And Guyeokin was directly hit. Shenzhen, the Super Typhoon Mangkut is coming soon. It is said that it will be very terrifying, so I was busy making arrangements everywhere today, grabbing vegetables, and so on. I have only written 4 chapters so far, and I didn't write the expected 6 chapters. I will continue to work hard to make up for it tomorrow and the day after tomorrow. The disaster has come again. Let's pray that we ordinary people can suffer less. I wish everyone peace. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 978. Guyeokin's divine body of light used the light-splitting sword. When the body that controlled the purple electric chain was hit and could not move, the divine body of light could still move. However, even if it could move, it was actually only moving according to its original will at the moment of losing control of the body, and it could not attack on its own. Lu Dingxing dodged slightly and dodged its attack. The three of them almost instantly leveled in front of Guyeokin. This is a 5th level existence in the ancient god realm. The ancient god source power is much stronger than them, so they must take the opportunity to fight quickly. If they give the opponent a chance to counterattack, it will be difficult to fight. In an instant, Zhang Ziyi arrived in front of him with the 9 flashes of god killing. The 33 killing gods in his hand directly used the killing sword and stabbed Guyeokin's eyebrows. Overall, among the three, Zhang Ziyi is much more balanced. He can control, fight, and kill, and his speed is fast. With a sword in hand, he is like a killing god descending. Lu Dingxing actually has many control methods. His left eye is the eye of the ancient demon god. Among the magic skills he practiced, there are various pupil techniques. These strange pupil techniques can create illusions, impact souls, and even make people unconscious. The moment Guyeokin was freed from the infinite time-breaking blade, Lu Dingxing's huge panda claws grasped her shoulders. The majestic physical strength, combined with his ancient god source power, restricted her in this short period of time, leaving her barehanded, directly facing Zhang Zizai's killing move, and 10 black mists quickly stretched out from Lu Dingxing's fingers. The black mist entangled Guyeokin like a long snake and tied her into a zongzi. This was a magic attack from the ancient demon tomb, which directly restricted her to death. Her light body wanted to rescue, but Xuanhuan blocked it. Xuanhuan's dense sword net prevented her from getting in at all in an instant. Everything happened in the blink of an eye. In fact, Zhang Zizai could have killed her. After all, the sword of killing was born for killing. It seemed simple, but it actually contained the killing power of extinction. In just a moment, it could make the soul and body collapse at the same time. However, it was definitely not appropriate to kill people in such a place, so he changed at the last moment. The power of the sword of killing was transferred to the abdomen, directly piercing through, and brushing past the opponent's divine source. However, the more than 30 sword chi of the killing god Xianbing rushed in, still causing a great degree of trauma to her divine source. At least Zhang Zizai had to ensure that she could no longer have the strength to attack them. That was the end. With Guyeokin's long and sad cry, the light divine body in the distance dissipated directly, which meant that she had lost the power to control the light divine body and could not protect herself. The chaotic and violent sword chi of the killing god Xianbing was still sweeping through her body. Lu Dingxing had already let her go. After letting go, this straight man couldn't help but clap his hands, as if Guyeokin had taken advantage of him. It seemed to him that he had touched Guyeokin, and he felt guilty towards Ruyu. Guyeokin's face was pale, she was holding the wound on her abdomen, and she almost couldn't stand steadily. When she raised her head, Zhang Zizai and the three of them were standing side by side, and the three of them were almost unharmed. Among them, Zhang Zizai looked at her with a smile. "Sister, don't fight and kill so early, it would be better to come in and take a bath together, so there is no need to bleed." Guyeokin took a deep breath and looked at the three of them coldly. She gritted her teeth and said, "I hate you, but it's better to absorb the dragon spring of light before I bring people back, otherwise, you will run away alive. Not only do you want to call for help, but you also want to kill us?" "We didn't kill you this time," Xuanhuan said. "Two dragon servants dare to attack me like this, don't they deserve to die?" "You didn't kill me, just because you didn't dare to kill me," Guyeokin said, and turned around and left. "Then you'd better not leave. Zhang Zizai is a thoughtful person. If he lets her go to find mercy, she will definitely find an opponent that she can't deal with at all. In this case, it's better to leave her here." He chased after her directly. However, she still underestimated Guyeokin's means. She had already prepared to escape. Just when Zhang Zizai chased after her, a talisman suddenly appeared in her palm. She activated the talisman, and the talisman exploded in an instant, forming rolling smoke and fog. Thick smoke rose up, and the majestic power shocked Zhang Zizai back. The next moment, Guyeokin had disappeared. After all, she was in the 5th level of the ancient god realm, and it was indeed not that easy to deal with. Moreover, how could someone who could enter the bright dragon tomb be unprepared at all? "What should I do?" Lu Dingxing asked with a little worry. Zhang Zizai said, "It's okay, keep going in, absorb as much as you can, and retreat directly when someone comes. Although the light dragon spring is good, you have to be alive to get it." He noticed that the light dragon clan would definitely not kill each other for no reason, but if the dragon servant offended them, they would kill even in this solemn light dragon tomb, so he would at most suffer a little humiliation, but Lu Dingxing and the other two might die. So Zhang Zizai had to act cautiously. He believed that this light dragon spring would definitely not be the only good fortune in this light dragon tomb. Of course, he also believed that in this huge world, it would not be so easy for Guyeokan to find her own people. Once separated, it would not be so easy to find. So they must still have time. So, the three of them went in again without saying anything, and took an awkward mixed bath. It would be nice if you were women, the atmosphere would be more erotic, Zhang Zizai said. Lu Dingxing and Xuanhuan looked at each other. Shameless Xuanhuan shook her head. Of course, he said this with a smile. You are a blockhead and a gentleman, so boring. I miss the days when I was wandering in the well of the divine domain, hugging women on both sides. Zhang Zizai recalled the days when he wandered with Shen Xiao and Ling Xian. Of course, he was joking. It was indeed not tiring to wander with two beauties, Shen Xiao and Ling Xian, but there was no such passion and fighting spirit as these two people, and the feeling of tacit cooperation between brothers fighting side by side was also quite good. When thinking of Ling Xian, Zhang Zizai suddenly thought that she was now practicing in the evolution realm. After obtaining Ji Yingying's gift, her cultivation level had made great progress, because after Ji Yingying became a god, her cultivation in the later stages of the initial god realm was much easier. She is also a dragon totem. If she can become a god, it should be easy for her to move around here. She just needs to avoid running into Bai Mu. After all, no one knows how many people Bai Mu has chosen. Please bookmark this site to read the latest. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 979. Lingxian is a dragon totem, and her blood is special. It may be good for her to move around in the bright dragon tomb. Shen Xiao has chosen the Holy Emperor Gate as her home. Since Zhang Zizai brought her here, he must want her to have her own future. In that case, let's take some risks and let her out. Zhang Zizai asked them to soak first. He went to the evolution realm to meet Lingdang and her sisters. They were still playing in the evolution realm. When Zhang Zia came in, Lingdang asked him if he had any news about her mother. Seeing her eager eyes, Zhang Zizai could only tell her that she was still working hard. Lingxian was practicing in the seabed. There was not much spiritual energy in the evolution realm. It should be very difficult for her to practice, but he never expected that when he saw her this time, she had already broken through to the 8th level of the initial god realm. So soon. Lingxian saw that it was him, and her bloodshot eyes brightened a little. She lowered her head and walked to Zhang Zizai, saying softly, "It may be related to Ji Yingying. She became a god before, and cultivation during this period has become very easy. After experiencing it once, it seems that many things are easy to figure out. The 8th level of the initial god realm is already close to becoming a god." Zhang Zizai took a brief look at the situation and said, "Come out with me." "Will this situation not cause you trouble?" Lingxian asked. "No problem," Zhang Zizai said. She is now willing to follow him wholeheartedly, asking for nothing, just wanting to stay by his side. Zhang Zizai naturally has to consider her. After all, she is also a person with amazing talents, which cannot be wasted. He patted Lingxuan's shoulders with an encouraging smile on his face, saying, "You are too quiet, you should venture out more and see the world." Yeah, she nodded slightly, blinked her eyes and looked at Zhang Zizai, perhaps recalling the time when he fought to the end for her. "My life is yours. I want to become stronger so that I can repay you one day." She was serious. Maybe this was the reason why she followed Zhang Zizai. Otherwise, it would be very easy for her to stay beside Shen Xiao. Silly girl, Zhang Zizai smiled. After so many years, she was still so pure, but Zhang Zizai knew that she would never change her mind about what she had determined. He took Lingxian out of the evolution realm. As soon as he came out, he said, "You two get up quickly and give her the dragon spring of light." "Boss, Can't you squeeze in with 4 people? Xuanhuan laughed. Get up, Zhang Zizai laughed and then directly brought him out. You are forgetting your loyalty for the sake of beauty, Xuanhuan said disdainfully. After spending so much time together, they have become very familiar with each other. Even someone as old-fashioned as him can joke with them. He is just that kind of person, Lu Dingxing said contemptuously. Zhang Zizai sent Lingxian down. At this time, Lu Dingxing and Xuanhuan were already standing on the other side. After all, it is inappropriate not to look at anything. After Lingxian went down, in the dragon spring of light, her pretty face shone in the light waves, and suddenly she was found to be breathtakingly beautiful. The spring water made her long skirt stick to her body, showing her figure, which was also very attractive. Compared with her, Zhang Zizai felt that Ji Yingying's exaggerated figure was actually vulgar, full of pure physical desire, while Lingxian was so beautiful no matter how you looked at it. Of course, Juxian's beauty and desire coexisted, and it was not vulgar at all, which was naturally the most perfect, but Lingxian was so beautiful and attractive, like a green apple, which was more suitable for her. She probably knew that Zhang Zizai was looking at her, and her heart was pounding, and her face seemed to be a little red in the rippling water. What is this? In order to ease the atmosphere, she opened her mouth in a daze, because she felt the strengthening of the dragon spring of light on her body. But so far, Zhang Zizai has only absorbed 10% of the 3 of them, and the remaining 90% is around Lingxian. The dragon spring of light can strengthen the body, and it may allow you to have a divine body equivalent to a divine body in advance. Well, thank you. Are the 2 of them okay? Lingxian knew that they left because of her. Of course it doesn't matter. They are all brothers, Zhang Zizai smiled, and then he stood up and said, okay, I won't bother you for now. At this stage, you need to think about some ways to become a god. Ji Yingying may be able to help you. Yes, she used my bloodline to become a god, which is equivalent to me becoming a god once. Now the practice is more like a kind of integration and recovery, Lingxian said softly. That couldn't be better. The divine spirit here is quite rich, many times better than the evolution world. She can make progress in the evolution world, let alone here. Zhang Zizai was actually quite relieved about her. In fact, he could see that Lingxuan's talent was more outstanding than Zheng Xiao's, because she was born first. Even Lu Dingxing's ancient demon bloodline was created later. This made Zhang Zizai a little curious about the identity of her parents. Even his own parents were so strange. Could her parents also have some strange identities? Zhang Zizai certainly didn't dare to ask her about her parents, so he could only guess a little. He came to Lu Dingxing and Xuanhuan, and the 3 of them sat and chatted, just as if they were protecting Lingxian. After all, Gu Yaokan had just left, and it was still quite dangerous now. The time passed quickly. Zhang Zizai looked over several times and found that Lingxian absorbed the dragon spring of light very quickly, almost as fast as her, and much faster than Lu Dingxing and Xuanhuan. This should be because they are both dragon totems. At the last moment, Lingxian even broke through to the 9th level of the initial god realm with the help of the dragon spring of light and the vast divine spirit around. She is a person who has accumulated a lot of experience and is not to be envied. It can also be regarded as a good fortune after the catastrophe. After all, Lu Dingxing's magic power at the beginning squeezed Ji Yingying dry and gave it all to Lingxian. After absorbing the entire dragon spring of light, her body became much stronger. After all, 90% of the dragon spring of light has entered her body. It seems that Gu Yaokan still hasn't found a helper, so we'll leave first. Zhang Zizai was a little cautious at the beginning, but he overestimated Gu Yaokan and gave her some time, but she didn't find anyone. The dragon spring of light is now just a ball of water, and the essence has long been gone. There is no need for them to stay here, so they just run away. During the process of leaving, Zhang Zizai also gave Lingxian the blood prison sealing sword. This god-level totem weapon is just right for her, but whether she can control it depends on her own luck. After changing the place, Zhang Zizai gave some guidance, and she didn't expect that she would succeed. Please bookmark this site to read the latest. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 980. Zhang Zizai recalled that Lingxuan's source was the 9th level killing source, which was the highest source. She could control it, which meant that she was actually gifted and would soon be able to control the blood prison sealing sword. It was not surprising. With the 9th level source and the blood prison sealing sword, her current combat power was infinitely close to that of the ancient gods, and even stronger than Suyuexi at that time. I have a hunch that my bloodline may change after becoming a god, Lingxian suddenly said to him. Dig it well, Zhang Zizai said. Zhang Zizai was naturally very concerned about her cultivation. He thought that if she could become a god in the Light Dragon tomb, it would be great. They were lucky. After a few days, they actually encountered another Light Dragon spring. This time, Lu Dingxing and Suqianyu also gave it to Lingxian, showing their gentlemanly demeanor. After absorbing the essence of another Light Dragon spring, she seemed to be one step closer to becoming a god. She didn't often follow Zhang Zizai. For example, when they were refining the blood prison sealing sword, Zhang Zizai asked her to return to the evolution realm, where it was safer. After all, she hadn't become a god yet, and it would be too annoying if others saw her. In the blink of an eye, more than a month had passed in the Bright Dragon tomb. This time, Zhang Zizai finally saw a huge cemetery in front of him. The shape of the cemetery was very similar to the shape of the Bright Dragon tomb outside. There was a big seal below, and a dragon statue was coiled above it. The dragon statue might be the god king of the cemetery. Because it was too far away, it was not clear, but it was obviously not the bright dragon ancestor with wings outside. He wanted to get closer, but he found that he couldn't get close at all. There was an invisible barrier blocking him. No matter how he walked, the dragon tomb seemed to be right in front of him, but he could never get there. Before he came, he knew that although they came to the Bright Dragon tomb, they couldn't get close to any dragon tomb and disturb the peace of their ancestors. The fortune they wanted was outside the dragon tomb. It came from the dragon tomb and was a gift from the ancestors after they fell asleep. He approached the dragon tomb just to try it out. After finding that it was equivalent to running a dead horse to the mountain, he no longer insisted and went around it directly. In this way, it was relatively easy to bypass the dragon tomb. Soon, this dragon tomb was far away behind them, but they never expected that just after passing that dragon tomb, the light in front of them became brighter. Soon after, they heard a lot of voices in front of them, as if there were bad people gathering here. Lingxian happened to be in the evolution world at this time, so Zhang Zizai was not afraid of them, so he went to the front to join in the fun. The bright dragon tomb was full of light. They heard the voices first, but still didn't see anyone. Before seeing people, the three of them saw another thing first. It seemed to be a white stone tablet, like the top white jade divine ore. The material looked similar to the divine crystal, but such a large stone tablet, if split apart, might have hundreds of millions of divine crystals. Now, from a distance, I could vaguely see some changes in the color of the divine crystal steel. In this white world, it was very good to see the color. A steel, noisy sound, obviously bright, this must be strange, it would attract so much attention, and this steel is behind a dragon tomb, its importance is self-evident. As Zhang Zizai approached them slowly, he finally saw that hundreds of people had gathered in front of the steel. Hundreds of people were crowded, looking at the white steel. This feeling was a bit similar to the time in the ancient demon tomb. However, it was no longer a scale, and the steel that appeared in the bright dragon tomb was completely different from that time. This is the world of gods. Zhang Zizai took a glance and found that most of the people gathered here were still difficult to deal with. Some were close to 40 years old, and some were particularly talented. There is also an acquaintance among them, that is by Mu. I didn't expect him to appear here. Now he stood in front of the stone tablet with his hands behind his back. That was the best position. He was observing the fortune in the stone tablet. The ancestors liked to engrave their achievements on the stone tablet to pass on to future generations, but only the most suitable descendants could get it. So many people gathered, which means that the people who came first must have stayed here for a long time. If no one has gained anything for such a long time, we still have some chances, Zhang Zizai said. Yes, I also know why the one called Guyeokan didn't chase us, Xuanhuan said. Following his sight, Zhang Zizai saw Guyeokan. She was also thinking about the stone tablet. There were 3 or 4 men next to her who were closer to her. They might be her companions. The stone tablet is obviously more important than the dragon spring of light, so she didn't go to take revenge. Do you want to hide? Xuanhuan asked. No, there are so many people, just be careful not to be discovered. Observe this stone tablet, Zhang Zizai said. They stood on the side far away from Guyeokan. In a relatively remote place where almost no one cared, they stopped and began to observe. Not far in front of them, there were 2 men, one of whom had just arrived. They were good friends, so one asked and the other answered, and Zhang Zizai happened to listen. It seems that it was left by an ancestor called God of War in ancient times. I heard that it seems that this God King, who cultivated to the peak of the God King realm, almost achieved eternal immortality. It should be that he has a high level of attainment in the divine body and has reached the realm of God. Whose stone tablet is related to the War God King? By Mu. He personally gave it to him. That can't be wrong. So, this could be the technique left by the War God King. There is a certain possibility. Which technique is more famous for the War God King to cultivate the divine body? As far as I know, the techniques he cultivated in the ancient God, God Lord, and God King realms are different. Among them, the most well-known is the technique he cultivated in the God King stage, but he certainly would not pass it down in this way. But I just heard from others that it seems that he created a set of techniques that can be practiced by ancient gods, which once caused a sensation, but it was lost because the conditions for cultivation were relatively harsh. This stone tablet may be the formula of his self-created technique. How powerful is that technique? The method of ancient gods to cultivate the divine body is nothing for those above the God Lord. Since it can cause a certain sensation, it must be special. What is the name of that technique? It seems to be called Holy Dragon Body. Do you know why it is called this? The man shook his head. Please bookmark this site to read the latest. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 981. We, the Light Dragon Clan, belong to the Holy Dragon Clan. The Holy Dragon Clan is the largest of the 5 Supreme Dragon Clans, and includes many dragon clans, of which the Light Dragon Clan is only one. It is said that those who are proficient in the methods of more than 6 clans can be called Holy Dragons. This is not a name that people give to their totems at random, but a real title. This is also the origin of our name Holy Dragon Clan. Of course, although the Holy Dragon Clan is large, there are very few people who are truly proficient in the methods of the 6 clans and have such a gift. What does this have to do with this Gongfa? It has a big relationship. The Holy Dragon body is prepared for the Holy Dragon. For example, our Light Dragon Clan, in addition to our Light Dragon Clan itself, if we can master other methods such as the Red Flame Dragon Clan and the Blue Ice Dragon Clan, and even have their attributes, and reach more than 6, we can practice the Holy Dragon body. There are not many such people, because our Supreme Dragon Clan pays attention to the purity of blood. Often, those with impure blood are of relatively low status and are the product of intermarriage among multiple races. If you only know a little, you can't be considered a holy dragon. So that's why this technique has been lost. It seems meaningless for us to watch it here. That's not the case. It's not necessarily the holy dragon body. The real holy dragon is indeed not a mixed dragon. Our holy dragon clan is not called this name for no reason. Moreover, if you have the qualifications of a holy dragon and then practice the holy dragon body, then the power of its divine body, as long as it is successfully practiced, is almost invincible at the same level. Through the descriptions of these two people, Zhang Zizai also had a rough idea in his mind. He actually knew a little about the secrets of the holy dragon, as he had just heard about it from Lin Yi some time ago. In fact, among the 5 supreme dragon clans, the holy dragon clan was the most subdivided, and the light dragon clan was just one of them. These clans have been somewhat entangled since ancient times. According to history, they intermarried and gave birth to many holy dragons with outstanding talents. This is the origin of the holy dragon clan at that time. The holy dragon clan was extremely powerful and occupied the absolute first place among the 5 supreme dragon clans. However, this also produced another consequence, that is, the bloodline became more and more mixed, and many descendants had many bloodlines at the same time, but became mixed dragons. Because each kind was relatively thin, they were completely useless. When there were more and more such mixed dragons, the overall level of the holy dragon clan dropped madly. After all, the other 4 supreme dragon clans have always been on the path of pure blood, so the holy dragon clan turned the tide under the weakness and continued to take the path of pure blood, advocating intermarriage within the clan, and the descendants born were at least proficient in one kind. In the current supreme dragon clan, when a person has several attributes, it is a symbol of mixed blood, which is not a good thing. The real holy dragon era was just a fragment in the extremely long history of the dragon sacrifice divine domain. Most people don't know that there was an era of great mixed blood. The holy dragon body of the war god king was created only in remembrance of that era. In fact, he himself did not cultivate the holy dragon body. Moreover, it is said that the requirements of the holy dragon body are extremely high. Because it carries the war god king's wish for God, when it is created, it is said that the god physique in the legend is also needed to truly exert its power. The holy dragon and God are the wishes of the war god king, so it is named the holy dragon body. In fact, there were only 4 supreme dragon clans and countless dragon clans in that era. The light dragon clan was just one of the dragon clans. The birth of the holy dragon allowed the remaining dragon clans to merge into one, forming the holy dragon clan, one of the 5 supreme dragon clans. There are not many holy dragons now. Even if there are, they are not a symbol of outstanding endowment, but the name of the holy dragon clan has been retained. After all, no one can submit to the other. The name of the holy dragon was the foundation of the union of the clans. Now, as long as the clans do not disperse, the holy dragon clan will not change its name. Zhang Zizai knows a thing or two about these secrets. If it is really the holy dragon body, I can give it a try, Zhang Zizai thought. However, he heard from others that they should think that this would not be the holy dragon body. If it is confirmed, they are not interested in wasting time here. Most of them think that this should be another creation of the god of war, such as the war tactics he practiced himself, which is a top-level body-refining divine tactic. His title of God King comes from the war tactics. In fact, more people take the contents on this stone tablet as battle tactics to comprehend, because these platinum symbols do not look like the holy dragon body. What do you mean, platinum? Zhang Zizai was confused. He happened to see why the symbols on this stone tablet were colorful, and Xuanhuan and Lu Dingxing were both stunned for a moment, and then they all saw that there was only platinum on the stone tablet. The stone tablet itself is white, and the runes are also white, but there is some metallic luster, so it is difficult to see the symbols themselves clearly. But what made Zhang Zizai depressed was that the symbols he saw were never platinum, and they were constantly changing colors. Sometimes it was black, sometimes it was purple, and sometimes it was green. All kinds of colors changed, he didn't count carefully, but there were at least 7 or 8 kinds. It's always platinum, no change, he asked Xuanhuan and Lu Dingxing, and they nodded. Could it be that what you see is different? Lu Dingxing asked curiously. Yes. There are several types, and they are always changing, Zhang Zizai said. Then it may be the sacred dragon body, Lu Dingxing said. He himself has the cultivation method of the primordial chaos demon god body, so he is more sensitive to the divine art of body refining. He just looked at it for a while and said to Zhang Zizai, it should be the method of cultivating the divine body. Now that he heard that Zhang Zizai saw it differently from others, he was sure that it should be the holy dragon body. Because he knew that although Zhang Zizai was a black dragon, he was not actually a single attribute. From the beginning, he could control any attribute, not even just 9. If among the Holy Dragon clan, those who have more than 6 bloodlines and are proficient in all of them can be considered as holy dragons, then Zhang Zizai is definitely a holy dragon, but each of his attributes is also attached with the destructive power of black. Then I'll try. It was good luck to be able to encounter the fortune left by the god of war here, so Zhang Zizai concentrated on it and began to ponder the contents of the stone tablet with all his heart. He heard that Bai Mu found this place a few days before the opening of the Bright Dragon Tomb, and now he has been pondering here for more than a month. So he thought that the contents on this stone tablet must be very difficult and absolutely impossible to comprehend. Fortunately, he had the Tegzu Universe Soul Refining Technique and a Divine Soul, so he should be better than others. But he never expected that it would be so simple. Please bookmark this site to read the latest. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 982. He didn't even use the Tegzu Universe Soul Refining Technique. When he just started to study it, he found that the various symbols that kept changing colors twisted in front of his eyes, as if they were alive, and finally turned into words, and the words currently used in the God realm were not ancient at all. There were tens of thousands of words in total, and when combined, they were the cultivation method of the Holy Dragon body. Why did Zhang Zizai know it was the Holy Dragon body? That's because the first few hundred words were, I am the god of war, and this is the Holy Dragon body I created, which is specially used for holy dragons with the potential to become gods. I have spent my entire life without understanding the path to God. In the end, I reflected on myself and realized that it was because my bloodline was limited and I specialized in one kind of cultivation that I could not reach the limit of God, so I left regrets. Unless my Holy Dragon clan has a single qualification, they should use the Holy Dragon body to have the opportunity to sprint to the limit. Therefore, I created this Holy Dragon body to cultivate more people who have the hope of becoming gods for my Holy Dragon clan. Unfortunately, the Holy Dragon era has passed, and no one recognizes my concept. The major clans are still stubborn and follow the old path of pure blood. How can they compare with the other 4 supreme dragon clans? They are the real supreme pure blood. Helpless, helpless. I won the Holy Dragon body art in vain, but there are not many holy dragons practicing it. The major clans do not want the core figures to intermarry with each other, and my clan will never have the day of the Holy Dragon soaring. Now I will be eternal, I just hope that one day, there will be a Holy Dragon disciple who will pass on my mantle, and I am willing to be enough. This Holy Dragon body art can be practiced by holy dragons and can exert 40% of its power, but it is also enough to become the top body refining method in the ancient god stage. If a holy dragon with divine potential practices and exerts 100% of its power, then at the same level, its divine body will be invincible in the universe. This war god king directly expressed a lot of regrets, and the following is the real method of practicing the holy dragon body. Senior, you have great ambitions and great wills. I admire you. Zhang Zizai was deeply shocked. He could understand the other party's regret for not being able to become a god, and he could also understand his desire to benefit the younger generation and strengthen the tribe. It's a pity that the Holy Dragon clan can no longer afford to be hurt, so no one agrees with his point of view. Without mixed blood, it is even more impossible for a holy dragon to be born. The birth of a holy dragon requires 6 kinds of blood, so it must be mixed blood for several generations. The requirements for holy dragons are indeed harsh. First of all, these several generations need to be the core blood of the major clans, so that the holy dragons born from mixed blood will have stronger attributes in each attribute. Secondly, it is necessary to maintain balance so that no one attribute is more prominent. Yes, if it is slightly unbalanced and not core, the dragons born are useless. The desire for holy dragons is indeed very low. It is impossible for the Holy Dragon clan to become a clan of all holy dragons. If that is the case, the other 4 supreme dragon clans will not be opponents. The war god king's wish is good. He thinks that it is worthwhile to ignore those miscellaneous dragons and only for Lian Sheng to become a holy dragon of God. However, this method is indeed risky and can only be regarded as a good wish. Zhang Zizai cannot confirm whether his idea is right or wrong, because he is just an outsider, but he is enough to admire this person, because the development of any ethnic group needs such a thinker, and he is indeed a person of immeasurable merit. The pure blood path is safe, but it will never be as good as the other 4 supreme dragon clans, because their pure blood is more noble. The holy dragon path is the only way to overtake, but the appearance of a holy dragon means the birth of countless miscellaneous dragons. This is an adventurous path. Once all mixed blood, pure blood is lost, even the light dragon clan is gone, no one dares to take risks, and ending the holy dragon path is considered to be the last resort of the ancestors. First, he was in awe of this person, and then he recorded all the holy dragon bodies created by this great predecessor, and engraved them firmly in his mind. Just as he remembered it, the symbol on the stone tablet that kept changing colors disappeared. The stone tablet began to dim, then began to disappear, and finally disappeared from people's sight. And the symbol seemed to have moved to Zhang Zizai's eyes. Success. Someone succeeded. The disappearance of the stone tablet may have made this clear. For a while, everyone was regretful and shocked, looking for the person who had comprehended, their eyes full of envy. Zhang Zizai hurriedly hid himself. If someone found out that he had obtained the fortune at this time, there would definitely be some trouble. He was only in the 2nd level of the ancient god realm, and he still needed to keep a low profile. Found it, it's him, suddenly someone said, which made Zhang Zizai startled, thinking that I was so hidden, but I was discovered? This is trouble. He was about to run, and when he raised his head, which meant that he was being pointed at by thousands of people, he found that no one was looking at him. Everyone looked forward. Zhang Zizai suddenly saw that there were many platinum symbols gathered on Bai Mu. He opened his arms, squinted his eyes, and showed a satisfied smile. Bai Mu, congratulations. Congratulations. You are probably the first one in the Bright Dragon Tomb to get a great fortune. Hurry up, what is it? Everyone was curious and envious, but not jealous. After all, Bai Mu was so talented and his status was so noble that they had no courage to be jealous. Bai Mu opened his eyes, smiled slightly, and said, "It's the battle tactics of Senior War God King." Wow, everyone was extremely envious and exclaimed. The battle technique is extraordinary. Among our Bright Dragon clan, it should be one of the best at the ancient god stage. Moreover, this technique has been lost. If you can get it and pass it on again, your merits are truly immeasurable. Yes, the god of war king must also have this wish. After all, a technique like the war technique should not be buried. People admired and sighed. Boss, you haven't gained anything, Lu Dingxing was a little surprised. Just now he saw Zhang Zizai smiling. Cherry. Holy dragon body. Awesome. Sukyunu's eyes were shining with great envy. Only the two of them envied Zhang Zizai, while the others were looking at Baimu with envy. Let's go first. After getting the holy dragon body, Zhang Zizai naturally wanted to leave and find a place to practice in peace. There were too many people here, which was not a good thing. Good. They turned and left. At this moment, a cold voice suddenly came from behind, "Stop." Looking back, it was Guyeokan who appeared behind them with 4 young men. The 4 young men were tall and short, fat and thin, but all of them looked at Zhang Zizai and the others with extremely majestic and fierce eyes. They should be older than Guyeokan, and the oldest one is probably in his 30s, close to 40, so their realm is also at the top of the ancient god realm, at least higher than Guyeokan. With their strength, they would absolutely crush Zhang Zizai and the others. Several brothers, these 3, drove me away for the dragon spring of light, and severely injured me. Especially these 2 dragon servants, they almost killed me, Guyeokan sneered. Today's 5th update, I'm still updating quietly, and I've already returned 1 chapter. The feeling of being in debt is really unsettling, and gives me a feeling of poverty. Please bookmark this site to read the latest.